Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Movie Reviews. This is episode number 52. And this is a spoiler review of a movie I saw today. Well, actually more like an hour ago. I came home like an hour ago from seeing Saban's Power Rangers. Now, I have watched the TV show. I've watched pretty much just about almost every single season. I didn't even finish watching Dino Charge yet, Super Dino Charge, and I have not had a chance to watch Ninja Steel yet, in case some of you are asking me about it. But yes, I have watched every single season up until pretty much, well, early on up until into about halfway through Dino Charge. I definitely did think this was a really good movie. I had a few recommendations to go see it, and I went to go see it, and I really enjoyed it. Let's see. Elizabeth Banks was freaking awesome as Rita Repulsa. It's like, okay, the first time she's seen, well, aside from the opening scene, which is basically during the Cretaceous period, where she's in her Ranger form, and then later on she's seen in, she gets brought up to the surface at the beginning of the bottom of the ocean for it looks like 65 million years, and she looks like an alien. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, it looked really weird. And she's brought up by, of all things, a fish, one of those giant fish boats. I personally never been on one, but I've seen these movies. But, excuse me, not a bad way to bring her up. I mean, she is, after all, the main villain of the movie, and of course, you see her just going around looking for gold, building up her Goldar. Heck, she even goes to a jewelry shop. Yes, a jewelry shop, and she wants to have gold. She even eats a necklace. I'm not kidding. She just takes a necklace and just swallows it. I'm like, what in the world? Yeah, and her outfit is different than you see in the commercial stuff. It's like her outfit is very, very revealing. It's like, okay, let's just have strings covering up her chest, and it looks like strings, but not showing off any actual, have Elizabeth Banks in a nude. Anybody who sees this movie who knows Elizabeth Banks, she just had a blast playing Repulsa. And I'll get to what happens to her at the end of the movie, but as for the Rangers themselves, I thought they were pretty interesting. It's heavily implied that of all the Rangers, the Yellow Ranger is implied to be a lesbian. Okay, this is something different. Yeah, something never actually explored on the show, but one of the actors is gay. Yeah, David Yost, the original Blue Ranger, he's gay. So maybe that could have been the reason why they turned the Yellow Ranger gay. Who knows? From when I look at her, she looks like she's played by a Hispanic, which is something differently. She's not Asian. I mean, the Blue Ranger's black, and by the way, not the first time the Blue Ranger's been black. The first time I remember basically that the Blue Ranger's been black was actually in space. That was the first time I actually saw the Blue Ranger being black. After that, I don't think they had a blue-black Ranger. I'm trying to remember the next time. I think it was Dino Thunder, which, by the way, there is a Dino Thunder reference in here in the film where the Jason's dad is going down Reefside and Mariner Bay. Yeah, there's a reference. Yeah, Reefside is the town where Dino Thunder took place, and Mariner Bay is where Lightspeed Rescue took place. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to remember, what other seasons had Blue Rangers where they were black? Let me think. After Dino Thunder, I know that Samurai and Megaforce, the Blue Rangers in those are black. Not many of the seasons basically where the Blue Ranger's been black, but it's something different. The Pink Ranger is British, even though she doesn't support a British accent, like I don't know, bloody hell or something like that. But she speaks an American accent. The Black Ranger is Asian, which, okay, that's something interesting. And And in case any of you ask, has on Power Rangers the Black Ranger been Asian? The answer is no. They have never had a Black Ranger who is Asian. Yes, Super Sentai, basically all the actors are Asian, but there have been Asian Blue Ranger. The Light Sea Rescue, the Blue Ranger is Asian. As far as I can tell, he is. I'm trying to think though. Well, you can't tell with stuff from, I would say, from SPD onwards because it's all New Zealand actors. Yeah, it's New Zealand actors. I can't tell if any of them actually were Asian at all. Let me think. They have Jason be a football player, which, okay, apparently he's an open book and there's like no major secrets for him. And apparently the Pink Ranger, her thing is that she's a former mean girl. Okay. The Black Ranger, besides being Asian, obviously, he's bilingual. Okay. The Blue Ranger is autistic and he's a genius. Okay, that's cool. Excuse me. And it is true that Zordon used to be a Red Ranger. Excuse me. And apparently when he was human, he looked really weird. I mean, I'm not kidding. It was like line. I mean, not like wrinkles per se. It's like he was a warrior, like he was one of the cavemen, and he wasn't speaking English. I have no idea what language he was speaking, but they did have it later on, like right after he came back. He was speaking English, and apparently, here's the thing: unlike in the show where Zordon's pretty nice, in the movie Zordon's a dick. I'm not kidding. He wants to use the morphing grid to bring himself back, because he's trapped in a wall of all things. Now, I don't have a problem with the look at the command center. It looks fine. Alpha 5 himself is actually quite funny. He's interesting. They could have shown more to that spaceship. They didn't show that much of the spaceship at all. I mean, they show like maybe one hallway, and where they have the command center, the room where Zordon is. Apparently, according to Alpha, he says he merged his essence with the ship's matrix. Okay? Maybe later on in the sequels they might explore that spaceship a little more. I do have recommendation about the location of the spaceship. Why not move it someplace else aside from a mine? Yeah, that's where the Rangers find their Dino coins. They find them in a mine, which apparently Billy is the one who blows up a wall. And apparently this big glass has all 5 Dino coins. And when I took a closer look at the helmets in the movie, like when they look at the helmets, they kind of do look like they're heavily inspired by the original helmet from the Mighty Morphin suits. Even though, yes, the suits themselves are completely different than they were on the show. How the belts look, it's very similar, but it's more circular than they were in the show. In the show, they were like kind of like belt buckles, like very square-ish belt buckles. This one, they actually, excuse me, I do appreciate the fact that people who made this movie basically were inspired by the original Mighty Morphin suits, but they didn't exactly carbon copy them. The helmets are very similar to how they were in the original Mighty Morphin suits, but they're not exactly carbon copies. As a matter of fact, the visor thing actually looks completely different than it does in the show. I do like the whole mouth thing, like they did on the suits. That is something that I think that's something they actually kept because, well, when people think of the Mighty Morphin suits, they think of that little mouth thing that's on the front of the suit. I mean, yes, the suits are CGI, fine. Don't have a really big problem with it. Heck, I didn't have a problem with it when the suit was CGI in Green Lantern, and yet people have a problem with the suit being CGI. It's energy. So what? In the case of this one, okay, fine. Didn't have a problem with it. Was expecting CGI because movies use a lot of CGI nowadays. Goldar is a gigantic monster, and he does have, even though you don't see his face, we do see him mostly complete because it looks like he's falling apart a lot of the time. He does look like his head. his head looks like it's heavily inspired by the original suit, the original monster suit they used for Goldar back in the original Mighty Morphin show, which in Jew Ranger, he's known as Gryphosaur, which essentially it's the same exact suit. It's like they were heavily, like the head parts, like, and I like the fact he basically uses the gold that's part of his, his skin to form a sword, because, well, Goldar was known for carrying a sword in the show, so I guess they're like, okay, let's have him form a sword. And the sword for the Megazord looks like it's like on its back, and it's kind of like the way they do it. It's not like Deadpool where he has like two katanas on his back. It's like, okay, do this, bam, stab him. That's what it seems like. Bam. Yeah, and they stab him right in the chest. And what they would Rita is very hilarious. The way to get Rita, they want Rita to surrender her power coin because, well, she's a former Ranger, wants to give up and have her trap a Zord. He's like, nah. And then he's like, and then Jason's like, now Trini. And Rita gets slapped into space by a Megazord. I'm like, wow. Under normal circumstances, that could kill somebody. And she went into Earth's orbit. And you get to see her like close to the moon, and she's frozen. Well, at least that you could bring her back. Well, because she's still kind of, well, connected to the morphing grid a little bit. And also the fact that, well, she could come back. There's nothing that said that she actually died. I mean, yeah, she gets frozen in space. But because the fact she also has a little bit of magic in her, maybe she could come back. And I do like the fact you see her like going toward the moon, which is a nod to the show itself. What I think of the Zords, they were pretty cool. I didn't like the fact that the pink Zord looked like a jet. Yeah, it looks like frickin' Starscream when he's in his jet form. I do like the fact it forms like dinosaur wings. But when they actually show the actual Megazord itself, it looks really cool. I was kind of expecting the cockpit thing, because almost every Ranger season is known for having like all 5 Rangers basically in the same cockpit. My guess is they probably didn't do that because this is a little more like a realistic, modern style of the Megazord. So apparently they're all in separate parts, like the Red Ranger's in the head and the chest. I think it's the Blue and Yellow Ranger the legs, and the Pink and Black Ranger are the arms. Okay, that's interesting. And oh yeah, and Jason and Frank and Amy Jo Johnson make a cameo in the movie. They don't get speaking parts, but they're just there as Angel Grove citizens, and they're just taking out their cell phones and basically taking pictures of the Megazord. I thought that was really cool. I don't think there was anything else. Oh yeah, they actually do some training, which is something they never actually shown doing on the show. Like training each other, training with holographic putties, which, yeah, they're different. They're rocks, but the rock men. That's essentially when we look at them. Even though, yeah, they're putties, but they're rock men. That's essentially what they are. Excuse me. I'm a little surprised that Rita didn't have an entourage like she did in the show. But at least they got Rita Repulsa and Goldar. Even though Goldar is different than he is in the show. And yes, Rita does say, make my monster grow, even though he's like halfway growing. And they refer to each other as friends, even though that in the show, half the time, Goldar in the show was Rita's henchman, not her friend. And yet in the film, they're friends, which is weird. And at one point, Rita basically merges with Goldar, and after Goldar gets defeated, she separates, and that's basically not long afterwards she gets slapped to space, which I thought that was hilarious. Definitely. I'm trying to think there was anything else. They did say it's morphing time. They said that in the movie. And they did throw in the Godo Power Rangers theme. They had that when they had the Zords in action for the first. And they actually showed them once before that. And it's really, it's good the fact they played it, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of just like Go Power Rangers, something like that. Like, it seems like they played like one line of the song. Okay, well, I gotta go, but the film was great. I give the film a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode 53, whatever I get a chance to do for it. But until then, I will see you there. Bye.